we'll see what happens. But our next game we need to talk about is Rutgers upset over Nebraska, 85-82. Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey combined for 45 points in this game, scoring over half of the total points that Rutgers scored in this one. The guys are outstanding. Ace Bailey, 11 rebounds on top of that. 4 of them offensive rebounds. Dylan Harper, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He did have 4 turnovers in this one, but I think really the story was Ace Bailey, 4 assists as well. He did have 3 turnovers, but 3 blocks and a steal. Rutgers is going to go as far as these two guys take him. Kent, how impressed were you with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper's performance?
I was beyond impressed with Ace Bailey. Some of the shots he was hitting last night, we were texting about it. It just felt like anything he put up was going to go in. He had complete control of his game. I was on last week, I think, on our Power Rankings episode and talked about how all they do is play iso ball, and he's trying to put tape out for draft night basically at this point. And I still think that he's doing that. But the difference is in the last 2 games is everything is working. Like last night, it just felt like everything was going to go in. And by the way, I don't know what the stats are. I meant to look this up before we came in. When's the last time a Big Ten team won at Nebraska? Like, this is a Rutgers team that when I post about them, people last week, like 7 days ago, were saying this team is dead, like completely done for the season. And then they come back and win their last 2 games. I'd like to pat myself on the back because I said that I thought it was a team that could rise in my own personal rankings and in the Big Ten rankings as well. So massive win, just like for morale, for going forward for this team, absolutely massive win. But I will say the one downside, the announcers were talking about it last night. We've talked about it. I feel like everyone in the world's talking about it. They need a third guy. Like they need like somebody else that can step up and give you 20 one night. Like, and they just have, I don't know, just feels like they haven't had that. I have to go back and look at the box scores to see if they've had, but those guys need help, man. They can't do it all every night. Freshmen, by the way, freshmen.
Yeah.
Everyone said that wasn't going to work. It worked last night.
The last time a team won at Nebraska was Creighton last year. Number 11
So a Big
Creighton.
Ten team, though, it hasn't won in 2 years then?
Yes, a Big Ten team has not won.
I'm making you do homework right now.
I was going to say, I have to go back to 2022 here. They went 11-4 at home in 2022 and 2023. So let's look and see. Purdue was the last team to beat Nebraska at home. Oh, wait, no, that was the beginning of the season. I apologize. Michigan State was the last team to beat them at home.
Wow.
80-67, February 2023.
So, wow.
Almost.
That's impressive. So it's been almost 2 years then.
Yeah. About
That's
23
crazy.
months ago was the last time. That is crazy. So great accomplishment by Nebraska, but even a better accomplishment by Rutgers in this one. No, I agree with you. I think that Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper are trying to put out as much tape as they can for the NBA right now. They definitely need a third, but I've been saying they need a third for a while now, and Jeremiah Williams has popped up to be that at times, but he wasn't in this one. Grant did have 15 points, 7 for 8, one 3-pointer adding to that, but he only played 22 minutes. So, like, this is a situation where Steve Pikiell is just keeping Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey in for the entire game, and everybody else is just kind of going in and out as much as they possibly can. Do you think that Rutgers is going to benefit from this very tough schedule? I know we talked about Minnesota and like their prospects to possibly make it to the tournament and stuff like that. I do think that Rutgers still has like somewhat of a chance. Now they are 0-2 in quad 3 games right now, so that's obviously not good, but they've played 7 quad 1 games, and they have 9 of their remaining 13 games are still quad 1 games. But if you ask me, like, this Rutgers team has the firepower to contend with a lot of these quad 1 teams they're playing against. At Penn State, at Northwestern are winnable. At Maryland is winnable with the way they're playing right now. At Oregon, Washington would be a quad 2 game, but like there are quad 1 games that are winnable for Rutgers here, and I do wonder if they're going to get the benefit of the doubt from the committee when it comes down to it, because they say, look, they got 2 NBA lottery draft picks on their team, like top 5 players in the NBA draft next year. Like, I could see them being one of the final 4 teams in if they get enough quad 1 wins.
I hope so. But you asked if they benefit from it. Absolutely. They have to have a schedule like this. Like when you lose to Kennesaw State and Princeton, I'm assuming those were the two quad 3 losses that they had. You have to bounce back with some quad 1s, like some really big wins, to erase anybody that's on the committee's memory of those other games. Like, that's what's so difficult about this team. Like, I still remember the Alabama game. They're right in the game. It's like, man, around tournament time, after these guys have a full season to play together, this is going to be a really dangerous team. They're going to be good. And then I can't get the Kennesaw State game out of my brain. Like, it just depends on what they're actually looking at. But it also really depends on what Rutgers does. Like, we just talked about it with Minnesota. Like, if they can win 6 or 7 of those, then they're for sure going to be a team that's going to be in the tournament, I think. So, yeah, I think they benefit greatly from having a difficult schedule coming down the stretch, but they have to take advantage of it like they did last night. Last night's a great start. The game before that, I can't even remember who they played, was another great continuation of that, I guess.
UCLA.
UCLA, okay. I guess that's not great. UCLA is down bad right now, but
I mean, but still, though, you and I talked about it in the power rankings show. That was UCLA's chance to turn things around, and they tried to hit Rutgers in the mouth, but Rutgers was at home, and it's really hard to win at the rack. So, like, I don't know what else to say about UCLA other than they're just in a really tough spot right now. We'll talk about them here in a second. Philip does bring this up, and I meant to say this, but I forgot. I'm glad Philip said it. Rutgers had Jeremiah Smith playing the point a lot last night, and Harper at the 2. It worked better that way. I agree. I literally was thinking that last night. I was thinking to myself, like, I think this is a team that needs somebody else to be that primary ball handler to be able to work everybody in, because if you have Harper as the primary ball handler, he's too young, he's too inexperienced, he's going to rely too much on himself and Bailey and not get other people involved. I think Jeremiah Williams is older, more experienced, and more willing to trust his teammates to possibly get things done. It definitely didn't impact Harper and Bailey's production. They they still scored half of the team's overall points together. But I agree with you, Philip. That was one thing I noticed last night that I don't know. We'll see if it saves the season for him or not. It's going to be a really tough road to do that. But I think if Rutgers gets to 18, 17 wins, if the Big Ten, can be a respected conference, and I think they are, you could see them possibly get in. So, and yeah, Philip says he called it point guard of the preseason. I do remember you saying that, Philip. So I'll give you your flowers there. All right. Last question here, Kent. I mean, what does this game say about Nebraska to you, right? You've been kind of down on Nebraska this entire time, but they did kind of what we thought they would do this season. They were able to win their games at home. Kind of the biggest shocker was that they were able to take down Creighton on the road this season. They lost to St. Mary's earlier in the year, but that was technically a neutral court situation. They just come off of 2 losses to Iowa. That was a close overtime game, and then to Purdue, who just absolutely throttled them last game. Purdue's on a tear right now, by the way. We can talk about them later if you want. I don't have it scheduled, but we can. And then Rutgers, getting the loss to them. I mean, where's this Nebraska team at right now? Is this something you think they can rebound from, or you think this is just going to be who Nebraska is?
I think again, I'm going to sound like really negative on today's show, but I think this is what they're going to become the rest of the season. I hate to say that, but the 2 wins that they have in conference right now are 2 teams that I just do not respect anymore. Like, it's Indiana and UCLA. Those teams have been so bad compared to what they should be this year. And for Nebraska, they just have to find some wins against teams that are actually good. Like, they'll have it coming up in just a little bit. Like USC, for example, okay? They play them next week, I think. Wednesday next week. If they can win that game, they're back at home for that game. If they can get back on the winning streak at home, beat a really good USC team, then it's like, okay, Nebraska's back. Nebraska's better than what I'm saying that they are right now. But unfortunately, I think that USC is playing with so much more energy right now. I think that they have better players than them in general. And I think USC will win that game, and it's going to be the same old thing with Nebraska. We're just going to be like, they're kind of good. They're winning some games that we didn't expect them to win, but they're just going to be on the outside looking in. I unfortunately, that's how I feel about them.
Yeah, Nebraska doesn't have a home stretch any more than twice to finish off the season here. They play Ohio State and Maryland back-to-back at home, and then Michigan and Minnesota back-to-back at home. You could definitely win 3 of those 4 games. That would definitely be helpful, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a Nebraska team that needs to, pick back up. And after losing one at home, they need to win one at home. And it's going to be tough because they go to Maryland next game. And then USC, that's one they can win at home. But then they're right over to the Kohl Center at Wisconsin, where they've been amazing all season long. So it's like this Nebraska team needs to play at home. This Nebraska team kind of feeds off that energy, not only for those games, but also the games they go into after the fact. And right now, you're not going to see another back-to-back home game stretch until February 9th. That's when you play your first home game, and then February 13th. And then, so the rest of January, you're going, and then a little bit into February, you're going, only playing singular home games, nothing back-to-back. And it's going to be tough. So we'll see what happens. Fred Hoiberg's done a good job with Nebraska, but we'll see if they can pull off some games to help them out.
It's really tough to go to Maryland on a 3-game losing streak, though. Like, I don't know, man. That's tough for them.
Yeah, Maryland's a tough place to play. Kevin Willard's not always the toughest coach to play against, but Maryland's a tough place to play at. So, speaking of Maryland, last night Northwestern takes them down 76-74. Your guy Brooke Barnheiser, Ty Berry, Nick Martinelli hits the buzzer beater shot there at the end to give Northwestern the win. I need to load that picture up so I can show everybody, Kent, the one I sent you guys last night. While I'm doing that, go ahead and tell people what'd you think of this game overall? Is to me, Northwestern's the most dangerous team in the Big Ten. Do you agree with that statement? And give me your thoughts on the game.
I agree that they're dangerous for the top teams. Like, you don't want to go play. I say that, but Michigan State just went in there and handled them, though, at Northwestern. So I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think they're a really good team still. I love Northwestern. Everybody knows that about me. But I wanted to ask you about something real quick before we actually got into this game. Were you locked into all the stuff that was happening on Twitter yesterday with Brooks?
No, I didn't see what happened there.
Okay, so I'm not going to call him out by name because I feel like he's gotten enough flack yesterday. But there was one guy that said that his sources were telling him that Brooks was going to be out for the year, and he wasn't playing last night.
Yeah.
And then right before the game, I want to say like 2 hours before the game, Northwestern posted a picture of him at the shoot around, basically. So Northwestern admin is super locked into what's going on social media, but
was it
basically
an insider?
Was
it like an insider or just a fan?
It was a fan who apparently has 100% hit rate on Northwestern recruiting so far.
Okay, all right.
I'll tell you. I'll show you who it is after we're done recording. But anyways, my guy Tommy Hook was telling me everything about it. He lives near me, and he always keeps me locked in on the Northwestern stuff. But apparently Brooks was hurt last night. He was about to be out for the season, and then he went for 20 and 10. So really fun night if you're a roller coaster day if you're a Northwestern fan. Going from the news that your best player might be out to he's having a fantastic game and picking up a buzzer beater win. So just kind of crazy. I thought
Martinelli hit the buzzer beater. Martinelli hit the buzzer beater.
No, I know. I'm just saying as a fan, your best player was about to be out, and then you win on a buzzer beater. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you meant Brooks Barnheiser hit the buzzer beater. Yeah, no, for sure. That it was a pretty interesting situation. I mean, Maryland at this point, I don't know what to make of them. I never really believed in them, but I had to put them higher in my power rankings because I thought, they are winning games. We have to give them credit to a certain extent, but kind of Philip has been saying in the comments, at some point they're going to Willard. At some point, Kevin Willard is going to Willard. This is a team that, they've improved Rodney Rice, Jacoby Gillespie, these kind of guys. But did we really think Derek Queen was just ready to step into Big Ten play and dominate the same way that he was in, the out of conference play? He's still a freshman, just like how Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper are having to adjust right now, just like how UCLA, Oregon, all these new teams, new coaches are having to adjust right now. Derek Queen is having to adjust, and Julian Reese looks really good. 23 points last night, 7 rebounds, and Derek Queen, to his credit, did get 14 rebounds, so I'm not trying to knock the guy, but it's clear he's not been the impact scorer that he was before, and his play's not been as good as it was in the out of conference. Again, he had 14 rebounds last night, so I'm not saying he's not tough. I'm not saying that he doesn't play for his team or anything like that, but it's just not been the same, and so Kevin Willard is going to have to adjust here. I just don't know if I trust Kevin Willard to adjust and make that happen. What do you think?
I don't. I definitely don't trust him. But like you were just saying, Julian Reese, great game last night. It feels like some nights like he's all by himself.
Yeah.
And I know Derek Queen, he had a fine game yesterday, but just too much Northwestern. I feel like every time that it felt like Maryland was going to pull away, Northwestern was hitting big shot after big shot. And to me, like one of the most entertaining games that we've watched all year, like just with how close it was throughout the entire game. Nobody ever had like a huge lead. Really fun to watch. But yeah, as far as Maryland, man, I don't know. They are. I'd have to look through the entire Big Ten, but I think that they're the most difficult team to figure out with the way that what games they've won and the way that they finish some games like they did last night. I just don't know what to expect from them night in and night out. So very difficult. I'm kind of throwing my hands up with them and saying, I just don't know. I
I,
just don't
I've
know.
I've broken the formula for you here. You ready?
Yes.
Maryland on Sundays, or 2-2. On
2-2 on Sundays.
Thursdays, 0-2. So
Hmm.
you play Maryland on Sunday, you have a good chance possibly to beat them. Play them on Thursday, guaranteed.
Guaranteed win if they play on Thursday.
Now
Man,
both
I hope they
those
don't play many more Thursday games.
they play 1, 2, 3, 4 more Thursday games. So this team
Ooh.
will have at least 4 more losses because they play 4 more Thursday games.
Man, that's a good little nugget to have for all the gamblers out there.
I only knew that because Philip said, I don't know, Maryland on weeknights has been an empty building. I was like, well, let's look at when they've played these games. And I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, all their losses are on Thursday and Sunday, except for Marquette. That one happened on a Friday.
Which is true. I mean, he's right about that. The building is
Yeah.
empty during even sometimes on the weekends, sometimes it looks empty. But I guess what I was trying to get at for Nebraska traveling out there, you don't want to travel anywhere when you're on a 3-game losing streak. And
Yeah.
especially
No,
against a team that's pretty tough like Maryland. So
right. And Maryland's
even if
record
the
right
building's
now
empty.
is 11-1 at home and 0-4 on the road. So, even if they don't have the best attendance right now, they're still winning their games at home. The only team they've lost to at home was Marquette, and that was a close game, and Marquette's one of the best teams in the country. So I think that was kind of what catapulted them for me, the close game against Marquette, and then obviously blowing out Ohio State. I thought, oh, this team, is going to be pretty good. And then they had the close game against Purdue. Braden Smith just won that game for them, but that's what Braden Smith does at
And
Mackey.
then they
You
played
don't want to go up against Braden
Washington.
at Mackey. Go ahead, sorry.
I said, I was cutting you off. I said, and then they played Washington.
Oh yeah, and then they play, and then everything was downhill from there. They are two of their last 5, so Maryland falling off a little bit here. They definitely have to get it right. Like we talked about for Nebraska, they're playing Nebraska on Sunday. We'll see, but then they have a stretch. Listen to this stretch: at Illinois, at Indiana, Wisconsin, at Ohio State. You think they win 2 games in that stretch?
Who are we talking about right now? Sorry, I just
Maryland.
clicked on Maryland.
Maryland. And that
Okay.
Illinois game is on a Thursday, so
All right, so let's
really
see.
bad
That's a
news.
loss for sure. I think they could beat Indiana. I feel like anyone could beat Indiana right now.
I mean, it's at Indiana though. Like Indiana still has a good home record.
Didn't they just lose at home?
I mean, yeah, but it's Illinois. Everybody loses to Illinois. Not everybody. Northwestern beat them.
You're telling me Maryland's not the same team as Illinois right now? Is that what you're telling me? This is news.
No, that's not what yes, that's what I'm telling you. Indiana right now is 11-1 at home. So, and that one
Okay,
was,
so let's count
getting
that as
chanted fire Mike Woodson. So
that's true. I'm going to say they'll beat Nebraska. They'll lose at Illinois. They'll lose at Indiana, and then they'll lose against Wisconsin. Where did it stop at? Ohio State?
At Ohio State, yeah.
Man, another team that's like, what is this team doing? Beat
But
Kentucky.
they destroyed Ohio State the first time they played.
That's
Ohio
true.
State was down
Okay.
by like 40 in the first half.
All right, so let's give them a win right there then. So I'll say 2 and what was that? 2 and 4?
2-5.
2 and 3. And then did you add the Rutgers game too?
No, I didn't put the Rutgers.
Okay.
In. Yeah, if they beat Nebraska and beat Ohio State, this team will be 4 of their last 10.
Yikes.
Which, yeah, it's not what you thought Maryland would be. So
nope, not
we'll
at
see.
all.
We'll see. Philip says Nebraska beats Maryland. So
Philip called the Minnesota game last night. So I can't
gotta,
really
like
go against him, but I'm going to right now. I'm going to
we
say
gotta like
Maryland's
get a
going to win that game.
notepad for Phil. We gotta like get a notepad for Philip so that way I can remember all of his takes. Oh, Jeff says Ken Palm is projecting IU to lose their next 9. Sheesh. If they lose their next 9, he's right. That will kill their home record because their home they play Maryland, Michigan, UCLA, and Purdue at home. So that's 4 home games in their next 9 games. That's brutal. Yikes.